My name is Lily, and I'll never forget the day my life changed forever. It was a typical Wednesday afternoon when I walked into my house, expecting to find my dad working in his study and my best friend Rachel watching TV in the living room. But instead, I caught them red-handed in my dad's bedroom. I had walked upstairs to grab a book from my room when I heard strange noises coming from my dad's bedroom. I approached the door, feeling a sense of unease, and slowly turned the handle. What I saw shocked me to my core. My dad and Rachel were standing in front of the bed, their faces inches apart. My dad's hands were on Rachel's waist and she was leaning in close to him. They were so caught up in the moment that they didn't even notice me standing there. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I tried to process what I was seeing, but my mind was racing. How could my dad do this to me? And how could Rachel betray me like this? What is going on here? I yelled, my voice echoing through the room. My dad and Rachel jumped apart, looking guilty and ashamed. Lily, I can explain, my dad started to say, but I cut him off. No, you can't explain, I shouted. You're my father and she's my best friend. How could you do this to me? Rachel started to cry, but I didn't care. You're supposed to be my friend, Rachel, I said, my voice shaking with anger. How could you betray me like this? My dad tried to intervene, but I was having none of it. You're just as bad as she is, I yelled at him. You're my father and you're supposed to protect me, not betray me. The argument continued to escalate until finally Rachel ran out of the room, crying. My dad tried to follow her, but I stopped him. No, you're not going anywhere, I said, my voice firm. We're going to talk about this and we're going to deal with it. My dad looked at me, his eyes filled with regret and shame. Lily, I'm sorry, he said. I don't know what happened. It just happened. I shook my head, feeling a mix of emotions. Just happened. I repeated, you're my father and you're supposed to be better than this. The argument continued, with neither of us willing to back down. But eventually, we both realized that we needed to take a step back and calm down. We sat down in the living room, both of us still fuming but trying to talk things through. It wasn't easy, but eventually we started to make progress. My dad explained that he and Rachel had started out as friends, but things had gradually developed into something more. He said that he knew it was wrong, but he couldn't help how he felt. I listened to what he had to say, trying to understand, but it was hard to forgive him, especially when I thought about how he had betrayed me. As for Rachel, I didn't know if I could ever forgive her. She had been my best friend for years and I had trusted her with my life. But now I didn't know if I could ever trust her again. The whole experience was painful and difficult, but eventually we started to heal. My dad and I worked on rebuilding our relationship and I started to come to terms with what had happened. It wasn't easy, but I learned a valuable lesson. I learned that people can hurt us, even those we love and trust. But I also learned that forgiveness is possible and that sometimes it's the only way to move forward. In the end, I forgave my dad and Rachel, but our relationships were never the same. I still loved my dad, but I didn't trust him as much as I used to. And as for Rachel, we eventually drifted apart, but I'll always cherish the memories we made together. The experience was painful, but it taught me a lot about love, trust, and forgiveness, and for that I'll always be grateful.